look at these headlines about the Democratic Party. 110, Politico, weak, whiny, and invisible regarding the DNC chair, Ken Martin. Here's the New York Times, 112. Sorry, I'm having trouble reading this. The DNC is in chaos and desperate for cash. And here's the Washington Post, 113. Democrats want to fight Trump, but they can't stop fighting each other. Mr. Martin, by all accounts, is a very nice guy. I got nothing against him personally. I said from the beginning, they need a stud chair. They need someone who is a colossus. They need someone in the mold of Haley Barbour or Ron Brown. And instead, what they got is Joe Andrew. You know who Joe Andrew is? Joe Andrew was the DNC chair. Yeah. And once President Bush was asked a question about, well, Joe Andrew says da-da-da. And you know what President Bush said?
Who's Joe Andrew?
Who's Joe Andrew? Dan, are these stories just a bunch, as the chairman and his people say, just a bunch of Washington, D.C. inside gossip? Or is there anything in those three pieces that if you were a Democrat, you'd actually be worried about?
There's a lot in those pieces that I would be worried about. I mean, and we don't have enough time, but I'll just say, two big ones. One is money. Like we've always talked about this. The job of the chairman is to raise money and then use it to build infrastructure and kind of have a pot of cash for campaigns to use to support them in the midterms and for the president. It is being reported that the Republican National Committee has $68 million on hand and the DNC has 18 million. We have had 2-to-1, 3-to-1 cash on hand advantages the last 6 or 7 years. And now we are staring at a 3-to-1 disadvantage. And that's a huge problem. The stories are saying the committee's thinking of borrowing money. And that has not happened in over 25 years, since before Terry McAuliffe. The second is, and Mark, you've talked about this here and on other platforms, voter registration numbers continue to be terrible for the Democratic Party. They continue to be very strong for the Republican Party. So money and infrastructure are the two big things that you're supposed to be doing. And then just the other thing is, it is not good when you have people like Donna Brazile and others saying, who is, for those who don't know, she is a very prominent Black figure in the Democratic Party, going back to when she ran Al Gore's campaign in 2000. She was like, he's not my cup of tea, basically. And like, I don't want to be his friend. I mean, that was taken aback.
Yeah. And Sean, before you jump in, I'll just say, picking up, Dan, on what you said, like, you have to be a titan to raise money when you're out of power, and you got to give people confidence. And I can't tell you the number of donors who've said to me, like, I don't even want to meet with the guy. Like, what's the point? I don't want to write him a check. What's my money going for?
Look, there's been like 3 times in my entire life when I've said, read the New York Times. This is one of them. That story was brutal. Yeah. Dan's right. I mean, like, the number of people on the record crapping on the DNC is mind blowing. He hasn't even called the Soroses. Dude, that's like, at some point, like, you need to call the guys with the money. They literally, it was embarrassing, that story. A couple little small points. All money isn't created equal. Dan mentioned the disparity between the RNC and the DNC. There's 4 pots of money that a committee raises. The general pot, which is the sort of blood. It can be used for anything you want. Then we've resurrected the building fund, the legal fund, and the convention fund. So when you get people to give out, when you look at someone's total amount raised, it's deceiving sometimes, because you might max out, you might raise $5 million in a building fund, but you're somewhat restricted in what you can use that for. So they have a bigger problem, because their O-type blood of the money that they can use for anything, which is like pay staff, turn the computers on, all that kind of thing, is a problem right now. He has created this 57 quote state/territory a la Howard Dean strategy, where he's committing $1 million a month, which, okay, I actually don't think that's a bad thing, but you can't do it when you don't have any money. Yeah. This is a problem. Yeah, over and over again. They don't have a strategy. That's a bigger problem. And everybody's saying it. He's not doing the basics. It's to me, that storytelling.
They say that something that's easy is like a walk in the park. Well, easier than a walk in the park, hit the subscribe button, be part of the two-way community, never miss an episode, be part of our conversations. Thank you for your service to America.